It was created by man. It will grow to be 15 feet tall. It will have huge eyes, webbed hands, hooked claws. It will walk upright. And it will mindlessly, mercilessly kill every living thing it meets. Prophecy.
In 1979, director John Frankenheimer completed a monster movie that has been widely forgotten over the last several decades. The movie told the story about a protector of the forest rising up in order to protect its lands from a terrible force that was destroying the environment. The plot reveals the actual creature to be something far more scientific in nature, but what was delivered to audiences, unfortunately, did not live up to people's expectations. And that's mainly due to the fact that originally, the concept for this monster was alleged to be far more frightening compared to what was ultimately made. And that creature design is the subject of today's video. Prophecy is a 1979 monster movie that tells the story of what was once a peaceful part of the wilderness coming under attack from some sort of unknown threat. People have mysteriously gone missing, and the local Indian tribe has become hostile towards the logging company that is currently cutting down the forest trees. The Native Americans call this creature Kahtadin, a monster that is made up of all of God's creations and has come to protect the lands from the loggers. In reality, it's actually just a big bear that has been mutated from the mercury runoff of what's connected to the logging company, which is a disastrous paper mill that is affecting people's lives on a terrible level. If you've never seen this movie before, which you more than likely haven't, I'll say that the first half is quite good. The second half is quite bad. And the reason that second half of the movie is so bad is solely dependent on the terrible special effects the filmmakers used to employ the monster. No joke, this movie has kind of a bad reputation, and for the first hour that I was watching this, I was just sitting there going, what are people talking about? This movie has a compelling plot, decent characters, and even a great location to film at. The movie was really interesting in the way it went about telling its story, which basically revolves around Talia Shire, who is not only a main character in the movie, but a pregnant one who happens to be in a situation where her husband does not want the baby. He happens to be the main protagonist and wants his other half to get an abortion if she ever, is pregnant, but he doesn't know that she is currently expecting. Talia Shire's struggle to deal with this whole situation, in which she actively wants to keep her child, is mirrored by the struggle that the bear is going through with its own young, and how corporate greed and disregard for life is currently harming people and animals alike. The performances from the actors are all really good here, and for the first half of the movie, you're probably going to be really happy with what they've made. Unfortunately, everything goes downhill once the movie shows the monster, and oh boy, does it look bad. One thing I wish people would understand is that film is a visual medium. If I wanted to just put the focus and emphasis on story, character, blah, 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 I'd read a book. Movies have to do that. They have to have that skeleton stuff for what the actual film is about, but what you're seeing on screen is just as important as what you're being conveyed through dialogue and exposition. And if you've got bad special effects, don't be surprised when they make a bad movie. You see, originally the creature was supposed to look way closer to the movie's official poster, which is what they described it as in the film's trailer. But when the director saw the design, he thought it should be changed to look more like a bear, which is why the monster looks way different in the finished product. Kevin Peter Hall, the man who portrayed the Predator back in the 80s, is the guy who helped bring the monster to life, but with the very poor special effects that were utilized to make the movie, what you end up getting is a really great buildup of drama and tension over the last hour, only to be destroyed by a horribly silly practical effect that will have you laughing at the movie once it's shown on screen. It's incredible to see something that started out so good devolve into something so ridiculous, but when you see the monster, you'll know exactly what I mean. Kevin Peter Hall is unable to move properly with the way the suit was made, and instead of looking like a mutated bear, it just looks like some guy is in a bear suit sprinting after people in the woods with full-on athletic speed, which it's hilariously stupid, man. My friend Tony from Hack the Movies also reviewed this film and summed up the problems with this monster pretty well.
Now, I know I'm a heavy neck-bearded idiot who's reviewing movies on the internet, and I'm supposed to go, practical effects better than CGI. I always prefer practical over CGI. Practical effects are better than CGI. I know that's like the thing I'm supposed to do. Don't get me wrong, I got problems with CGI. It ages horribly, and I think Hollywood has a over-reliance on CGI, and this movie is a good example of where a practical effect ruined the movie.
Had the filmmakers have chosen to go with something more along the lines of what was used on the poster, instead of just for the scenes with the mutated infant bear, which is in this movie, by the way, this could have been one of the scariest movie monsters ever, but instead it just wound up as a really scary creature that none of us are gonna get to see. And what compounds that effect, unfortunately, has to be the way the movie frames some of its kills. I'm going to use 2 Jurassic Park movies to explain this simply, but you know how in the original movie, Robert Muldoon has got his sights trained in on a velociraptor that's just standing there, letting him get in a good position? Well, we, as the audience, know that because of what Dr. Grant said earlier in the movie, that Muldoon is about to die because of the way we've been told the dinosaurs hunt. And sure enough, that gets delivered to us with the whole clever girl one-liner. It's great. It's just incredible to see. Everybody loves Jurassic Park, and while it's true that Muldoon probably should have known that that's what raptors do, we as an audience were able to convey the information given and build up a really great scene. It was just executed perfectly with good special effects. Similarly, in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, J.A. Bayona focuses on the closing of a very slow metal door for when Ted Levine's character Ken Wheatley is about to die. Now, we as an audience know that this monster has some of that DNA from the Indominus Rex, which happens to have been bred for military purposes. You know, whenever they shoot these things, the bullets can't get through the skin. Well, Ken Wheatley doesn't know that, and he just shoots it the same way he did the Velociraptor Blue earlier in the movie with the tranq darts. That fell down, so why wouldn't this one? The character literally does not have the information, similarly to Robert Muldoon, that this would be a bad situation to be in. And the fact that Ken Wheatley likes to take teeth from his trophies is also alluded to, and if you couldn't tell by now, the director is telegraphing to the audience loud and clear that this person is about to die, and we're letting you in on what's about to happen. Well, look, if you can't figure that out, I really don't know what to say anyways, but in Prophecy, Kevin Peter Hall performs that whole attack on a last man standing behind sort of thing on a Native American. We can all see it coming from a mile away. They've done their legwork. They've set up the attack when somebody stays behind to meet the bear head on. But unfortunately, the special effects are so bad, unlike Jurassic Park and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, that when they actually show the attack, it is laughably horrible in the most insane way possible. I'll leave a link to Tony's review down in the description below, but I think his assessment that the filmmakers should have just, not shown the monster in order to hide its silliness would have worked wonders for this movie, and it could have even had Predator beat by like nearly 10 years with that sort of heroic sacrifice kill that Billy stands back for before the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie even came out. But instead, they telegraphed a kill that was nowhere near as effective as what you've seen in other movies. Stan Winston's raptor effects and the industrial light and magic work for Fallen Kingdom destroys what Prophecy delivers in an objectively measurable way, and I don't want to hear the excuse that like, oh, it's from the 1970s. Star Wars is from the 1970s. Alien was from the 1970s. Stop motion was in the 1970s. This just didn't work, and that's a real bummer in my opinion, because like I said, the first half of this movie is actually really good, and it's something that I'd recommend off of the story and characters alone. Bottom line, check out the first half of Prophecy for a truly fun little 1970s movie. After the creature shows up, you could probably stop and just make up your own idea for how it ends and use the design on the poster for good measure, because like I said before, this is a great concept ruined by poor execution and a monster that's scariness we never got to really see.
If Stan Winston made this bear, like, 5 or 6 years later, it might have worked. But yeah, it's poorly built, it's poorly designed, and it's poorly filmed, and it ruined the movie for me.
Anyways, guys, these are all just my own thoughts on Prophecy. Movies are really cool when you can sit down and see what works and what doesn't work. I really think they had something going for them, and even the director admits that, yeah, it could have been way better had they have done some things differently. But hey, whatever your own thoughts and opinions on Prophecy happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below.